This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. When you visit the doctor, you probably hand over your insurance, your ID, and contact details. It's just one of the many places that has your personal info, and if any of them accidentally expose it, you could be at risk for identity theft. LifeLock monitors millions of data points a second. If you become a victim, they'll fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Save up to 40% your first year at lifelock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
You're listening to Achtung Millwall, broadcasting from the beautiful South Birmingham. Accept no substitute.
Hello, dear listeners. Welcome to Achtung Millwall. Recording unusually on a Wednesday afternoon, and for me, I've literally just got indoors before I can speak with my co-pilot Merv Payne. Listening in the car, Merv, to a song by Lynn Anderson, a country classic called Rose Garden, which I thought touched on last night's 1-1 draw at Crystal Palace quite nicely. Along with the sunshine, Merv, you've got to have a little rain sometimes.
Yeah.
And I thought that seemed to come together as I was pulling up outside my house, because I was due to speak to Merv, because we're going to be looking at last night's 1-1 draw, and then a penalty shootout 4-2 loss in the League Cup, the Carabou Cup. Now, Merv, you were caught in controversy on the social media last night. Do you want to talk us through your stance?
Yes.
And then maybe elaborate
today.
This
I'm going to talk you through it, and this is basically packaged as a big apology to all those decent Millwall supporters that I offended last night. Not personally. I never have digs at people personally on I like to call it Twitter. Can we keep calling it Twitter?
We can call it Twitter.
I can't find the names, but at least 3 quite rightly dug me out for the absolute garbage that I was spouting. But in mitigation, I had the absolute day from hell. Now, I'm one of these people, if I plan something out and it doesn't go to plan, then I just get in like the worst mood. It's just one of those
You're
things.
on the wrong side of Merv.
I'm just one of those people. I don't like. I have to have the volume on the TV has to be an even number. I don't like it if my phone is less than half battery. And I'm just one of those weird. My wife, she's the total opposite. She doesn't give a monkey about all that, and I wish I was like, but I'm not. So I had yesterday meticulously planned. I'd convinced myself, because it was the 3rd time we were playing Palace in the Cup in a few years. I convinced myself this was our turn. I was hoping that we could get a bit of what Grimsby had, when they beat Man United.
Yeah.
I thought we deserve this. It's our turn to create a little bit of a shock. I had it all planned out. And then it all I had a takeaway order to be delivered at the optimum moment.
You had gone for it here, aren't you?
Everything was even the state visit of Donald Trump had less planning than my last night, and I was convinced it was going to be a celebration, finally beaten, because I have a very unhealthy hatred of this particular match.
Yeah.
Long story short, it took me over an hour to drive 10 minutes home from a job, which was a fool's errand. The takeaway didn't turn up. I missed the kickoff, and I was. My wife was watching it with me. My wife was saying, "What game are you watching?" I was moaning and whinging about it. She said, "What game are you?" I said, "Millwall were the better team." She said, "What are you watching?" I said, "It just carried on from." I had the raging ump on Saturday.
I was going to summarise it that you got the hump basically.
Yes,
from
I
the
was
day.
in a bad mood, and I took it out on what was a decent Millwall performance. And as someone again quite rightly pointed out, Palace made less changes to their side than we did, so they were playing a much stronger, not a weakened side at all. We had a much weaker
a Premier League side,
Premier League team,
it
was. And I mean, we even took a good corner, for God's sake, and got a goal from one. And that's one of my bugbears.
Exactly. Yeah,
it was a cracking, but yeah, I just had the right ump, and I couldn't shake it off. And so to all those who quite rightly called me out for talking cobblers last night, I apologise, and I withdraw it. And it was a decent performance. And it was just so. I just hate losing to Palace. That's the thing. I just really hate it. I was traumatised as a child growing up going to a school full of bloody Palace fans. And even though I had the last laugh, because literally the few days after we left school in 1988, we won promotion to the First Division. We stopped Palace getting in the playoffs. And yet I still hate losing to the buggers. I really do.
I am similar. I mean, I where I went to school, brought up in Nottingham, as listeners to the show will know. I went to school in Chislehurst, full of Crystal Palace fans in the late 70s, team of the 70s, and all that stuff. So I retain a healthy hedge. I don't really hate West Ham to the same level
No,
as
funnily enough, I don't. That'll annoy a lot of Millwall supporters, I know.
Yeah,
But
I
I
know,
never had that interaction with them. Yeah, that's the
No, I
thing.
just never came with the odd one, but they
Yeah.
tend to be all right, to be
Mm.
honest. But there we are. But yeah, I mean, going back, your original point last night and the reason for so much angst, I thought there was a touch of something in it, and I wanted to. I don't want to revive it, but I thought it was
I don't
there
mind.
was a kernel. I think there's a kernel of something,
Mm.
which is that if you don't take plum chances, then can you call that a good performance? I think it's in a nutshell. That's kind of where you were going to, because we had two
Yeah, it's
tremendous
frustrating,
chances.
isn't it? When I think I touched on the amount of money we've spent as well. And but the trouble is, and I saw this debate about Wrexham, who apparently there's rumours that they're considering the manager's position after spending 30 million quid, and
Mm,
they've only won one game, which, funnily enough, was against Millwall. But and
yeah,
people are saying, "Oh, you need to grow up. You need to understand 30 million in Championship is nothing." And I think we need to understand that we may have spent more money than we have done ever. But the level we're playing at, and the sort of teams you play against, and it is frustrating, because I had the same frustration when we lost there in the FA Cup. I know it was a bit more one-sided, but there were times at the start of the second half when it was 1-1 that we had a couple of chances, and we could have nicked a couple more goals, and it is
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
frustrating because there's lots, because despite my rants last night, there were lots of positives. Ballo, Sacco, good real positives there with that. A few frustrations again with injuries. It seems like
Well, I
we've
was
got
going to
more
mention
injuries.
injuries. Yeah, I
But
mean, Crocombe injured in the warm-up, which
yeah, you
is
couldn't make that up, could you?
no, you couldn't make that up. I mean, it's brought back Bender, and I thought he did well last night, Stephen
Mm,
Bender. Early saving it. I mean, I'm just
yeah.
looking at my notes from last night, Merv.
Well, I was stuck in the car, and Aaron Paul was covering it for Five
Yeah,
Live,
yeah, yeah.
and he said, Bender's made a good save, and I thought he's got that wrong, because I'm sure Crocombe's starting. I've obviously missed the fact that he got
No,
injured in the warm up,
apparently
which
he knocked himself warming up.
sums up. I
Apparently,
mean, how is your luck, really?
well, our luck is through the floor, really. I
Mm.
mean, so Bender in goal, back line, Sturge, Kramer, Taylor, Grant, and Harding. I think it's a 5-5 or 3. I don't know. I get lost in
No, I
tactical,
get lost with
so I'm not
formations
going
and stuff.
to. Don't at me. I think is what the kids say on X. Merv.
Yeah,
Midfield then, so Mizzou, Sacco, Negley, Kelly, Bangura Williams, and then up front, at least in the first half, was Ivanovic. I thought 4-5-1, but I think others talk about in possession, out of possession. I'm not
yeah.
going
There's
to
all
go down
sorts
that
of
road.
permutations, aren't there? Yeah.
Yeah, got it on me. But going back to Bender, so the game kicked off, and he made a very early save, and there was a little bit of space edge of the penalty area, and he got down low, and I think it was to his left, and batted away a shot that was on target. I mean, the early phase of the game, really, up until about the half hour mark, really, we weren't out of it. They had a lot of the ball, a lot of
Yeah,
possession, but
yeah.
not much danger, Merv. But
No,
we started to come on strong. And I thought that was really to the team's credit. I mean, going back to the start of our conversation, there was the plum chance on 32, which I think was when Negley was put through by Ballo, I think.
yeah.
A screamer of a chance that should have been taken.
Mm,
But we're starting to look better and stronger
yeah.
as the half wore along, looking good in possession
Mm,
and making them look second best. And I think, going back to the kernel of truth, you don't take that chance by Negley. You're not going to get many chances at the
no,
top
this is the
table.
problem. Yeah, and it's a shame
And
again, because up until now, Negley's looked pretty, with the few sort of chances he's had. He's looked
yeah,
pretty ruthless, isn't he? I mean, the couple of goals he's got for us have been sort of snap chances that he's just had a stab at, and they've gone in. He's
I'm
looked,
hoping last night's
yeah,
performance will do confidence for
yeah.
Negley. I thought that was
Hopefully,
a chance. He'll come good. I think he's a
mm,
good player.
yeah, he is. Yeah, I do like him.
And then there was a few moments. Ivanovic flick header. I think that was a cross in from, I think it was Harding, who I thought did very well
I
last
like
night.
Harding. Yeah, I do like
Yeah,
Harding.
what an honest
Yeah,
player.
exactly. He always puts a shift in, doesn't he? Yeah, he never.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but we were pressing well, and 0-0 at half time. I think most of us probably would have said that's not bad going at half time against a Crystal Palace team that could possibly have started in the Premier League, and then
yeah,
so it going on. And then there was the Coburn chance, obviously midway through the second half, where again, confidence. I just don't think the boy is it just needs a goal, doesn't he? He needs to come off his
Yeah,
bum
he
or
does.
something. No?
We said this about Langstaff this time last year.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
the longer it goes on, the more that sort of it weighs on him, and it does. It sort of you feel like it's getting harder and harder to sort of cut him some slack. But we've got to at the end of the day. We've got to.
Well, we haven't got many other options. But
No, this is it. Yeah.
what I wanted to do, because it's easy to slag players off, and
Mm.
you've been talking about social media X, which is like the pit of
Yeah.
slagging people off, isn't it?
Yeah.
But and obviously no goals between Coburn and Ivanovic, and both. Coburn certainly missed a plum chance last night. But what they do well, the pair of them, as single strikers, is hold the ball up and lay it off, and we looked a lot better with that style rather than them as a pair, as a two up front. I would imagine that Alex Neil's going to persist with that stuff, because we looked so strong against a decent side last night.
Yeah.
I think it'd be mad to change it, Merv, don't you think?
Yeah, I think the problem is both of them looked so good in spells last season that you feel like that them playing together up front is the dream ticket, and you feel like it's a. I think we all want that Cass and Teddy, or Morrison and Gregory.
Morrison, Gregory.
We're crying out for that, because when you've got that sort of partnership, you're on the way to success, because if one doesn't score, the other one will, and if they both score, you're in for a treat. And I know there's a lot of the old comments about Cass and Teddy about Ivanovic and Coburn being too similar, so they can't play together. But that didn't hold Cass and Teddy back. All it did, it made them adapt how they played, and to sort of like.
Teddy was a very intelligent player, and he would pull wide and
exactly
bring Cascarino into it.
I think it took them 2 or 3 months actually in that season we went up to really. And there'd be times when Cass would get a couple of goals, and you think, well, Teddy wasn't really involved, and the other way around, Teddy would get a few. But if you sort of watched, if you just sort of focused on one of them, you'd see the work they did even when they didn't score goals. And for me, Ivanovic and Coburn. Ivanovic at Sheffield United was really good. He grafts, he gets back and defends, and he obviously set the goal up for Kundal there. And I like the way Coburn holds the ball up. He's got a lot of skill for a big fella.
Well, that's to their credit. I mean, it's easy to slag them off, and the chances go missing and all the rest of it. But they're both doing a lot of work. Well, they did last night anyway. Let's put it that way.
And the bottom line is they're not getting good service. They're not getting lots of chances. That's the thing. He's
not getting chances. Unfortunately, I mean, we had the 2 chances last night, neither of which were taken, but they were the only 2 chances. I don't remember many other. I was a shot block from Imarku late on before we got the equaliser bang on 90 minutes. But I mean, the goal that Palace got was the kind of scruffy goal that you concede if you don't take chances. And,
exactly. And that's, I think, when I started getting annoyed, because I thought they just don't deserve it, basically. But it's just so typical of our luck.
Their goal reminded me of Wimbledon in the 1980s, when the ball's just lumped in. He can't get it clear, and then someone gets a toe poke on it, and it goes.
Yeah. And it is frustrating, definitely.
Yeah, and I thought, oh dear, that seemed to me to be again, not against the run of play. It was bad. It was tough and hard on the lines. Substitutions, Howland came out. He's a very impressive player.
I like Howland,
The equally impressive Bangura Williams. I mean, I was really, really struck on him last night. I thought he did well. And then goal scorer Ryan Leonard coming in for Kamal Grant, who also did well. And Imarku, who always makes something happen late in a game.
He does. I mean, Bangura Williams, if we want to go back to the Charlton game, I know you've covered that already a lot, but only when Bangura Williams came on did we really look any sort of threat against Charlton. I thought he seemed to have that confidence. The rest of the team looked a bit lacking in confidence when they had the ball back. Yeah, but Bangura Williams knew exactly what he wanted to do, and I think he had the only 2 shots on target. Both ended up in the back of the net, and he was unlucky with the first one being chalked off a handball. I mean, it did hit his hand, but I mean, he looked so sharp. And
it's a learning experience. Once we'd gone a goal behind last night, we brought the subs on to try and get involved again. But there's a long period, and I've written down here, Millwall struggling to get the ball. This is 86 minutes. I mean, they just keep the ball, and they're a good side. I mean, I'm going to leave the rivalry to one side. That Premier League teams a bit of nous. They're physical. They're big.
Yeah,
And they keep the ball well. That's what money's buying you at that level.
yeah.
That's what we're trying to compete with. But when we did get the ball, things started to happen. As I said, there's an Emarcu shot late. And then that wonderful equaliser, which I wasn't expecting.
It was a cracking goal from Leonard, definitely. Yeah,
Brilliant.
but like I say, refreshing to see a corner we take, not go straight to the opposition centre half and be sort of cleared.
Yeah, I mean, we dodged the bullet. There was a miss. Mateta had a chance cleared off the line earlier on, but the miss of misses. I mean, if we think Coburn's miss was a howler, then we really dodged the bullet 90+2, where he was put through and close and somehow managed to put it wide when scoring seemed to be all you had to do was touch it and go in the net. And off it went. And so we went to penalties, which I don't intend to dwell very long. So I can't remember last time we had a penalty shootout, Merv. I was going to check it, and I haven't had a chance to check it today, listeners, but I can't think of one for a long while.
I can't, no.
So, we don't get many, and it showed.
Pretty woeful, and that didn't help improve my mood, I must admit. But it is, as someone rightly said, it's a complete lottery, and it's just one of those things. And I know Coburn's getting a lot of stick for people saying he didn't want to take one, but apparently he was down as fifth taker.
I people just look for angles to dig at the players.
I'm seeing people saying, "Oh, we should never wear the shirt again," and that's
teenage.
Yeah, I mean, like I say, I've not got much room to talk, but I would never go down that avenue because I still think there's a good player in there. I think he would have. I think he would have happily taken a penalty. And if he was, I'm seeing people saying, "Well, you put your more reliable takers further down the line because they're the ones that sometimes decide the shootout." And that might have been the case had we not missed the earlier ones.
Or you score goals in the 90 minutes, and then you don't need a penalty shootout. Yeah. So I mean, that's just teenage nonsense. I think, which is unfortunately a bane of social media, listeners, isn't it? No, I mean, terrible penalty shootout. Let's not beat around the bush, but we don't get many. Overall, I thought it was a very good performance. A lot of positives to take out of last night, Merv. I thought.
Well, I was amazed that Sacco got such an early sort of run out because I know he's been playing. He's been playing. Is it for the under-21s? Or I can't remember.
Doesn't speak English, which I thought might be an advantage given the amount of comment you get.
I'm sure he'll soon learn one or two phrases. But yeah, I mean, everyone is raving about him, and Ballo as well.
Ballo, I thought looked good.
Ballo when he came on against Charlton, in what little chance he had against Charlton, and it's really encouraging because I thought both of those players were perhaps being considered as ones for later on in the season, maybe
the future.
Yeah. So
we'll have to see how long Danny Kelly's out as well, because that was another injury.
Again, it's a shame because he started to look decent as well. He's bulked up and he looks up for it.
He looks aggressive, and I like.
He does. He looks like. It's just frustrating that injuries sort of just deprive us of, because these players, they just need runs in the team. They just need 4, 5, 6 full games to get into the stride. And we're not. And Alex Neil needs to be able to have a settled side to pick from so that we can get some momentum going, and we don't seem to be allowed it. And I don't know what the answer is. I'm seeing people saying, the club's they've got to look into the club's, sort of the physios. I can't believe. I can't believe we can blame anyone for it. I just think it's crap luck. I think it's been like it for years.
It's like much in the modern life that some things happen and people want someone or something to blame.
Yeah. I mean,
it's funny. Comfort.
I saw a post once from a Tottenham fan listing Tanganga's appearances for Millwall last season and comparing it to about his last full season at Spurs, where he was out injured constantly, saying the same thing. There must be something wrong with our physio or with our fitness or whatever. And clearly, I think it's luck. I mean, you look at how much Ryan Leonard was injured when he first came. We were saying what a shame it was, and now he's getting a good long run in the team. It's just crap luck. I think I can't believe for a minute the club hasn't got the very best, the highest.
Well, best that we can afford anyway.
The highest level of knowledge and expertise in player nutrition and rehabilitation and training and when to rest and that sort of thing. I don't think us as mere supporters can call the club out on that. It's just really annoyingly bad luck, I think.
We have a God-given right to criticise everything and everyone.
I mean,
without necessarily fronting up the money to pay for whatever we might be demanding.
I mean, I know there was a spell when I heard we were perhaps signing players who had slightly iffy records with fitness because obviously they were cheaper. But I don't think that's the case anymore. I think we knew that Alfie Doughty came with a little bit of a
record. I mean, we haven't seen
reputation.
Zach Lovelace yet either. So
Yeah, I mean, Lovelace really concerns me because
Well,
I'm thinking Chris Guthrie style sort of
Will,
levels of.
will we see him?
Yeah,
Not when.
it's exactly what I'm thinking. I'm wondering now, really, just how serious the extent of his injuries are, because it just
We'll
feels
see.
like one of them.
Merv, before I let you go, I want to mention an old love of ours, Romain Esse, who was subbed off at half
Yeah,
time for Crystal Palace. He missed a chance. He doesn't seem to be loved there, Merv. Tongue in cheek, listeners, I put out a little tweet saying, "Come home, come back to where you wanted." I mean, I've got no say at all. Nor any inside track, but he
yeah,
doesn't. He looks lost there, and it's a shame. I mean, he's a terrific player and
yeah,
one of our best. And obviously, we got the great deal.
yeah. We
But
certainly did.
he's clearly adrift there. The manager
Yeah,
Glasner hooked him off at half time, which I don't know what else. If you want to humiliate a player, that's the way to do it.
absolutely.
He,
Yeah,
he looks like a lost lamb there, doesn't he?
yeah. It's funny. I don't know if it was you or was it Phil Clark. Maybe made a really good point that it looks like a clash of sporting director or whatever you want to call it against manager, and the manager
Yeah,
didn't fancy him, wasn't it? But whereas Palace seemed hell bent on signing him. I don't know if they
yeah,
were trying to prove some sort of point or if they wanted to get ahead of someone else. But I think a lot of Millwall supporters are saying, it's too soon. He's only just
yeah,
started performing in the Championship in the Millwall team. He's clearly
yeah,
got a little way to go.
yeah.
And then, our Palace is trying to prove some sort of point that we can just pluck your star players as and when we see fit. And people are saying, well, he's in a better environment there. He'll be a better player in 12 months' time. But, he seems to have
He's
gone
not looking
backwards.
happy.
No, he's not. No, and I don't think it'll be very long before he's perhaps going out on loan.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
quite. It's a really strange one, and but yeah, I mean, it makes a change for us to get the better out of a deal like
Well, it
that.
does,
Doesn't it,
doesn't it?
really?
Normally it's the other
Yeah,
way around. But
yeah,
anyway,
exactly. Yeah, but yeah, it's a strange. It's a very strange situation, but quite well. Actually, it's not the fact that Palace used his image with his finger over his lips to show to announce the team, the lineups was quite.
yeah, it's
Just so typically Palace, and it's just
they're very obsessed with Mill.
yes, yeah, living rent free
I
in
would
their
say
heads. I think
they're fixated with
yeah, as
anyway.
our
That's
Charlton,
that's
they think we're a lot more bothered about them. Well, I am, but I mean that's me. It's my problem. That's my issue. But yeah, I do think they think we're a lot more bothered about them than we actually are. Yeah, but yeah, like I said,
anyway. I'll repeat my message. If Romain listens, come home, Romain. Come back to where you
come
love, mate.
back to where you
Come
love.
back in January. We
Yeah,
you know you're wanted.
yeah.
Anyway, there we are. Merv, I think that's good stuff, mate. I think we've summed up last night. We've got a little bit of a break till next Monday at home to Watford.
Oh, yeah.
So back to league action. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of formation we get against Watford. But for now, Merv, I'm going to say big thank you, mate. Thanks for joining me late
Cheers, Nick.
on
Thank
this
you.
evening. And stay tuned, dear listeners. We've got the voicemails after these messages, so stay tuned.
Hello.
Morning, Nick. It's Hassan here. Just thought we'd leave some thoughts and comments after the game last night up at Palace. I was there. First and foremost, it was probably the best display of football by us I've seen all season. Honestly, when I first saw the lineup, I thought, "Wow, we're in for a long night." Seeing the injuries, Crow can get injured in warm up. It was weird because we got on the ground. I forgot it was 8 o'clock kickoff, so we was in there about 7:30, and we see him warming up. And I was like, Crocom's in goal. All I can see is Bender and Coleman doing the training. I thought, what the fuck's going on here? And obviously, popped through on Twitter that Croker picked up an injury in training. You just can't write it, can you? Honestly, you just can't fucking write it. So that was a bit of a kick in the bollocks. And then you look at the lineup, and we're thinking it's clearly a different formation. And he's got all 3 centre backs in. I thought, wow, he's gone 3 centre backs. He's got Harding in there, Sturge. He put Sacco in. So a lot of big calls by the gaffer. A lot of put a lot of trust into a lot of unproven players. Mahalo up top, he gave Negri another run out. So I thought, okay, it's different. And I'll tell you what, once we weathered the first probably few minutes, we controlled that first half. It was amazing, honestly. Some of the one-touch passing, I mean, RBW, he was just pulling the strings in the middle. You can see why we need to go back to a number 10. He was so calm, composed on the ball. He was like an orchestra. He was just spraying balls around, orchestrating everything. If it wasn't for some better finishing, we were going at half time, especially the Negley chance. I haven't had a chance to watch it back, mind you. It's just going based off memory, but it looked like a gilt-edged chance. And I think Negley, he played well last night, and you can see he's trying hard. He done more, probably in the first 20 minutes than he did the whole game against Charlton. And he was unlucky with that. I mean, when he got through, I thought, you know what, I'll put my house on him scoring, and unfortunately put it wide. But I think he's suffering from a little bit of confidence at the moment. But I think he'll come good. I mean, he did show some good stuff last night. He got into good pockets. It was a shame to see Dan Kelly get injured, and then obviously we brought on Ballo. But to see him out for that long, when they scored, it was a kick in the teeth, really, because they didn't deserve it. They weren't good Palace, even though they had the majority of their first team out against what I call a B-side for us, which is what it was, wasn't it? A lot of unproven players playing for the first time, their first game for the club. I thought we gave such a good account of ourselves, and to see that go in from Leonard, it was brilliant. I don't think you can put a fault in anyone, really. So everyone put a shift in. But I will say one thing: a few special mentions to some players. I mean, Marco Sacco. Tell you what, I'll take my hat off to him. When I saw him in the lineup, I thought, my God, he's going to be like a deer in the headlights. He's going to be lost. He don't know where to go. Completely wrong, mate. I won't say he ran the show, but he looked very calm. He looked very composed. He didn't look nervous. He got stuck in where he needed to. When he got hold of the ball, he didn't do anything silly with it. He tried his best going forward. Very impressed with him, I've got to say. For a 20-year-old lad, just come to the country, knows very little English, still learning his teammates. And I think at one point he changed midfield partners, because he started off with Dan Kelly, who again looked bright. Unfortunately had to go off, and Ballo came on, and he had to work alongside RBW. So, and he still looked just as calm and composed, and up for the fight. As I said, he didn't look nervous. He was very much up for it. So I'll take my hat off to the boy. He should be very proud of himself. He done really, really well on his full debut. Special mentions also Taylor. What a beast of a player, honestly. I think a lot of people worry about, is he ready for the step up to start championship games? After what I saw last night, he's more than capable, mate. He poor Arrivederci Millwall. I mean, obviously the game plan was Eze, and I think it was Grant on the other side of Kramer, or it might have been, I think it was Grant. Every time they get the ball in midfield, they pump them. They fill that midfield up, that space. And let's face it, poor Eze, he got hooked at half time. He didn't get any joy against Taylor whatsoever. He had him in his pocket all game, and he reads it really well for such a young man. He reads the game well. He doesn't shriek out of tackles. And to be honest with you, mate, going into Watford on Monday, I'm more than happy to see him start alongside Cooper and put Kramer back at right back. I think he's ready to go. There's no point in him sitting on the bench. He looked very good last night. Grant looked good. I like Grant. He makes me laugh, if anything. He's very. A couple of times he shit us up because he likes to run with the ball. For such a big guy, he's not scared to run with the ball. That's good. He's obviously got confidence. And a few times he got beyond their midfield into their defence and tried to make things happen. I don't mind that. He's willing to have a go. So that was nice to see. Kramer, first game as captain, I thought he marshalled it quite well. I'm not even going to bother talking about the penalty shootout. For me, I'm satisfied enough, mate. It was a shame we didn't win the penalties. His penalty was poor, and Maku's was poor. But against a Premier League outfit, it's very hard to win the penalty shootout because, there's more often than not they're going to put their penalties away, and we never win penalty shootouts. Very rarely. So I'm not bothered by that. For me, the performance was like a win. You know, I saw so much that gave me confidence going into the game forward that I walked away from that game really happy. Honestly, a smile on my face. And you know, Palace, for example, they should be embarrassed, mate. You know, 10 years in the Premier League, and they muster that up against a second string injury ravaged side. Fucking disgusting, mate. Useless. Again, special mentions to Ballo. I thought he was really good when he came on. He finds these pockets of space really well. He just seems to wander around that front end. He got into really good spaces, and he maybe could have done better with a cross here and there. I know he put one onto Coburn, and we was right in line with that. Coburn, he was, I'm not sure if he was expecting the cross or he was just adjusting his body, but he was all over the place. And unfortunately, couldn't get any meaningful contact on the ball to put it towards goal. Of course, he's getting stick from around us. To be honest with you, Mahalo was better than he has been previously, but Coburn was just as better as well. You can't fault him for energy and running in the second half. He was running back, closing down balls, and helping with the defence. One other mention, Jack Howland, mate. Again, we need to keep him in the first team. The way he runs with the ball, he runs with it like he's stuck to his foot. And the corner that he put in for Leonard to get the equaliser, it was funny because, again, he was right in front of us. And he had a corner before that which was a bit too far, which went to the back post. But that first one, as soon as he hit it, you're half thinking, do you know what? Someone's going to get the end of this. And it was so funny because just as we scored, this old boy in front of me turned around to me and he said to me, you know what? As soon as he hit that ball, I knew he was going to go in. And he was fucking spot on. It was true. The way he hit that, what a corner! He fucking whipped it. It was fantastic, fantastic corner. And you know, again, it's another option I think going forward, especially with this, you know, with all the injuries we got. We need to keep the likes of Howland on the bench, Sacco, keep him in and around the first team. So overall, mate, it was a proper cup tie, a proper London derby. I'm very proud of the boys. Chalk and cheese performance from Saturday. Even if the atmosphere was better, I thought the atmosphere from us lot on Saturday could have been better. But last night, brilliant. We shut up the Hobbycraft crew behind the goal. They were quiet apart from their fucking drum. But overall, it was a good performance and a lot of positivity, I think, going into the next league game. My mouth is hurting. My throat is hurting from last night, I've got to admit. Alright, mate, you have a good day. Speak to you soon. Oh, sorry, Nick. One other thing I forgot to mention of praise. Wes Harding, Zach Surge, immense. Absolutely immense. Especially Zach Surge in that first half. He had their tricky left winger or left wing back. He had him all over the place. He marshalled him well. He got forward where he could. He linked up well with Sacco and with Ballo in the second half and RBW. Fantastic. Even Harding, mate, he G's up the crowd, gets the crowd going, and yeah, he done really well. I'm really pleased for the pair of them. Really pleased, and also for Leonard to get another goal. I forgot to mention that again. So I just wanted to mention that.
Fantastic stuff, Hassan there. Big thank you, mate, for that, and thank you to everybody that submitted voice notes from last night. Bit of a packed edition for you, listeners. So I'm going to whip through the voice notes after this little piece. I just wanted to say I very much agree with pretty much everything that Hassan has said there. It was the best display, I think, that we've seen for a while by the Millwall side. Saturday's game at Charlton was strangely flat, wasn't it? I mean, we came good, obviously, after the sending off on Saturday and started to look a little hint of what we saw last night. And the same as Hassan said, I'm sure the same as everybody was feeling when we saw the starting lineup and then the injury to Max Crocombe and then as the game wore on to Danny Kelly. You get a bit of a sinking thing. I wasn't expecting a great showing last night, listeners. I don't think any of us probably were, but it was, as Hassan has said, the best display we've seen for a long time. We were passing the ball well. We were containing a very expensive, by our standards, Premier League side. A team that in flashes showed, that Premier League level. I mentioned in my conversation with Merv how, they keep the ball well. They did at the end. Anyway, when we were looking to claw our way back into the game, having gone unluckily behind, But overall, they weren't that great. They had the chance for Mateta at the end, and there's one moment that springs to mind where he went round the goalkeeper, round Bender, and it was cleared off the line. Apart from that very early shot on goal, there weren't really many chances for Crystal Palace, and that's a real tribute to our Millwall side. I mean, all the players, Race, Bangira Williams, yeah, I'm sure, if he could hold a poll, perhaps every Millwall fan would want to see him featuring, starting, or very much involved in the first team going forward. Jack Howland, Hassan mentions, I mean, I think he's a really elegant looking boy. I mean, there was a pass, it must have been millimetre perfect. I was going to say inch perfect. I think it's probably a little bit less than an inch. Fractions of an inch across the goal. I mean, he could easily have gone wrong on him, but he had the courage and the style, the elan, listeners, to make a pass late in the game. That I think it might have created a chance late for on the wide minute. I think it might have been Ballo, but anyway, he passes the ball and he looks really elegant with the ball at his feet. Something we haven't seen for a long time at the Den. So again, another player I want to see featured, as Hassan has said, and so it goes through the team: Taylor, Mazusaku, Ballo, and so on and so forth. I was really, really impressed with the showing last night. Yeah, as we've said, with speaking to Merv, the penalty shootout. That's we don't get many, so I don't suppose we've done an awful lot of practice, rightly or wrongly. But there we go. So big thank you to Hassan. Big thank you to everyone for sending in the voice notes. Going to run a few together now. We're going to be next up will be Mike George. Then we'll take a break and we'll be back after that with Rob Woodford. And so it will run on, listeners. Stay tuned.
And so the morning after, the night before, all Millwall fans should be feeling one emotion, and that is pride. Pride in a performance that not only matched, but for much of the game, outplayed the Nigels on their own patch. They, of course, scored first, but it was not a goal that will be featuring on any show reels. It was a messy, scrambled affair, the result of a toe poke in the midst of a bunch of players, some desperately trying to clear the ball, the others trying equally hard to find the net. But up until that point, Millwall had mostly denied the home side any meaningful space, had frustrated their opponents with interceptions, and quite arguably had the two best chances of the game. Negley should have scored from a relatively easy chance, whilst Coburn managed to get those long legs of his tangled up just at the wrong moment. How dare Millwall do such a thing? Unbeaten Palace's forward momentum brought to a shuddering halt by the Lions of the South. There were fantastic cameo performances from Camille Grant, Jack Howland, Zach Sturge, the new boys Bello and Sacco, all backed by a magnificent away following that roared loud and proud against the backdrop of silence from the home fans for most of the game, which was mentioned in a commentary as a force that had a definitive impact on the game. But it was our resident veteran Ryan Leonard that scored the equaliser from a long throw, currently trending as the favourite tactic in football, a glancing header that nestled into the bottom corner of the net, hailing a cacophony of noise and unbridled celebrations from those travelling Millwall fans. The fact that we lost the game in the lottery that is a penalty shootout is almost irrelevant, because it was the Millwall players that walked off the pitch with their chests puffed out, proud of what they had achieved. And rightly so. We should all, as Millwall supporters, be bolstered with confidence that our team can kick on from this in the knowledge that we have a squad of players that can match up to an unbeaten Premier League side. We can now turn our attention to the visit to the den of a Watford team whose form has been indifferent so far, and who will be in no doubt about the task that they face against a rampant Millwall side. Come on, you Lions.
Achtung, Millwall.
Nick, greetings from Liverpool. A trip that had been in the calendar for months. So a real shame when we didn't get to draw one of their teams. But I managed to watch the game from our hotel room. And, the gaffer got a reaction from all the players who were involved in that less than hoped for performance versus Charlton. I thought we put in a real good shift last night, and there were also promising first team starts for Caleb Taylor and Del Boy Sacco. Can't fault the performance. Lots of endeavour, tenacity, resilience, a real positive reaction after Charlton. I thought we really competed well against Palace, and just like the gaffer, really proud of our performance last night, and especially as we are so thin on the ground in squad depth, and now a few more injuries to throw into the mix. Just for a change, eh? Penalties? No. There was no chance that was ever going to work, was there? Yeah, we never get penalties in normal time, and it looks as if we never practice them either. And the 2 missed pens, well, it's a bit like watching the Birds football in the summer, wasn't it? When it's obvious to me that women's matches need the penalty spot moved up to 9 yards, not 12. Blast the ball, for fuck's sake. So, bollocks to all that. Let's build on this, get a few more players fit and ready, and finally win a home game next up. Keep it on the island wall.
Fantastic stuff by Rob Woodford there, and before the break from Mike George, I had to laugh. I couldn't make it over to the game last night. Listeners watched it on TV on Sky. It was on one of their red button channels, so I don't know what the quality of the commentary is at that level. It didn't sound very good last night. They had like a nondescript lead commentator. And I thought for all the world Crystal Palace had a player called Pedo playing for them. Pino, I've checked on the BBC website. Pino, as in Colada. Pina Colada. I thought he kept saying Pedo. Oh my God. That must be a gift for the opposing crowd. Also, his co-coms was a very quietly spoken. I for all the world thought it was Glenn Hoddle's love child. A bloke called Tony. I don't know who he was. But he spoke very much like quite quiet like that, and you kept going, "Oh yeah, that's a great ball there, isn't it?" Where do they get these people from, listeners? Who was Tony? Does anyone know? He's like Glenn Hoddle without the personality, dear listeners. So anyway, that was my experience. Big thank you to the chaps there. We're going to run now. Jim Hackett, Glyn Horner, Lawrence Binney, one after the other. Stay tuned.
Morning, Nick. Jim Hackett. Overall, talking about last night's game against Palace, I thought we looked very tidy last night. I think everybody would have been happy this morning just with the style of football we were playing, and probably gives more strength to the one up front issue. You know, I think the 2 up front, as well as it worked last year, was shown that this year teams are a bit wiser to us. And I thought last night the 2 strikers, who each played a half each, I thought they both did okay. And with a bit more luck, Coburn could have had a goal. I think both of them managed to get enough of the ball, playing as a one to bring other players in. And I thought the players that played actually did themselves a lot of good. There was a nice, solid defence looking, that played throughout the game. I thought not too many last-ditch tackles, but when they were needed to be made, our lot made them. And I think Cramer and Taylor could take a lot of credit for what went on last night, but I also thought Harding and Grant also played very well. Sturge, he looked a different player, didn't he? Playing more as a wing back than just an out-and-out fullback. And I think he's going to give the manager something to think about, ready for the next game against Watford. And then you go into the midfield. I thought Kelly was going well, and then obviously, as is our woe at the moment, we've got another injury, but he did all right. But then Ballo come on, and he did okay as well. And RBW, Negley, I know he missed a sitter, Negley, but he looked a little bit brighter last night. And I think the energy he's got and the pace he's got and the trickery with when he's got possession, I think is quite decent. So, I wasn't too disheartened by what I watched last night. And I think Alex Neil made a big point afterwards how proud he was, and that was the Millwall style of play. And that, well, it's up to him to get that out of us now. And I think when we play the likes of Watford going forward and teams that want to probably come at us a little bit more, I think that style of football we had last night, it worked well against what was a half-decent Palace team, and no reason I think it can't work well against some of the better teams in the division. And I think with an extra player in there, it gives us more of a shout when we're going forward against probably the lesser teams, where if we've got somebody with a little bit of trickery, then we'll score goals, through open play rather than set pieces all the time. But overall, after last night's game, I think I went to bed quite comfortable, thinking that going forward, out of the adversity of all the injuries and everything, we might have found some players in there. I thought Sacco, I tell you what, when he's up and firing and understanding a bit of English, I think he's going to be a real plus for us, because his energy and his ability on the ball and his ability to get away from players, I thought was stood out last night, and he likes to tackle. So I think Alex Neil is going to take last night's game, look at the players we've got, and whatever team he puts out against Watford has got to show that little bit of fight and that little bit of quality, because I think there's a team in there. But we always say this, don't we? Every time we play like this, it's there's a team in there. I think psychologically it might have been a game where it was not a free hit, but the players could relax and play with a bit of freedom. But they've got to take that into the more important games in the league and try and use that freedom they've got, the ability to express themselves a bit more and go at it. And my sort of final point on that was Marco when he come on, just playing as a right-sided winger come midfielder. He looks so much more comfortable, and he's got that burst of pace. He's a right footer, and I know everybody seems to go for these inverted wingers and inverted fullbacks and inverted wide players, but why not keep a left footer on the left and a right footer on the right sometimes, because he's got the ability to get the ball into the box, and with his right foot, which is his natural foot, he can put better quality balls in there. But Alex Neil's paid the money, so he'll make the decisions. But I was very comfortable after last night watching that. There's some players to come back in. Obviously, there's more injuries, but that's how things go. But on we go to Watford, and come on, you Lions.
Morning, Nick. Glenn here. So, let's get it right. Last night's performance against Palace was, against all the odds, a very, very good performance and showed some superb quality by some of the young lads that are coming in. When you're losing two players within the first 25 minutes of the game, it's going to disrupt the plans. It's going to confuse the players as to, what they should be doing, positions they should be moving into, all that kind of thing. And we saw that because the team in the first sort of few minutes of the game did look a little bit out of their depth, but they found their feet and they came back strong. I think, a lot of players deserve special mention, but I want to talk about Harding and Sturge, who I think really were phenomenal throughout the whole game and looked comfortable at that level, quite frankly. The pair of them, they were excellent. And the two new lads, Ballo and Mizu Sacco, who, to look at them, I thought, they're a bit lightweight. I mean, I'm sure they're talented, but they'll probably get easily knocked off the ball. But those boys put in a fighting performance, and they actually stood their ground really well. So I think, huge credit to them as well. Really like the three at the back system. I think with all the injuries and the troubles that we've got right now, that's the way to go against Watford. Well, at least that's, it'd be interesting to see if that's what he goes with. It's probably with the staff we've got available, it's probably the right formation to go with, I think. Yet again, our strikers fired a blank, but I will say I thought Ivanovic played with real purpose and desire, and I wonder if maybe some of the criticism he's been getting about maybe not being focused on his job has hit home, and maybe he's now out to sort of demonstrate to everybody that he's not the turncoat that he's been labelled. And I think young Josh Coburn, got to be honest, he should have scored that chance where he managed to kick the ball into his own chest and went out for a goal kick. It's not good. But, it just strikes me as if it's a confidence matter, and, only time will get them out of that. So I would stick with them. What else choice have we got until Langstaff comes back? But anyway, let's have it right. It was a good performance, a battling performance, and those lads did themselves proud. So well done, Millwall. Come on, you Lions.
Right, Nick, it's Lawrence Binney here calling in after Crystal Palace 1, Mill 1. Crystal Palace win 4-2 on penalties. It's not often that you can come away from a loss in such circumstances against a hated rival and feel positive and feel optimistic about the games ahead. But yeah, I was really impressed with our showing tonight. I think in contrast to last season, we played the game and not the occasion. We settled into it quite quickly, and in the end, actually, I don't think it was too dissimilar a performance to the opening day, the Norwich game, which I think has been, everyone would agree, our best performance so far. There was a real sense that the game was going to be kind of fought in certain periods. So Palace had like maybe the opening 15, 20 minutes and we didn't really create much. But then we came into it, grew into it, and we finished stronger. And in the second half, you know, up until they got their goal, I did think we were the more likely. The new boy Mazu Sakho, he looks a bit rough around the edges, but he's got an engine on him, that's for sure. Very tenacious, terrier-like, and moved the ball really quickly. I like seeing RBW in that central midfield role as well, and I think that really helped us. We were pressing really, really high up, winning the ball back. Playing it down the flanks to Negley, and the like, and Ballo, who I thought looked impressive in spurts as well. Created a couple of decent opportunities for us. The two best opportunities of the game. We'll get to those misses in a moment. And Taylor and Kramer at the back, very assured centre half pairing, can play the ball about. You know, moving the ball just that split second quicker, which means that we find those gaps. And God bless Cooper, and he definitely has his merits, but he's not a defender that you want on the ball, especially in those games where we have to break down tough defences, or come up against Premier League defenders, England international defenders. Those periods of transition are really important. Just having someone who can play the ball just a little bit quicker, not like big raking passes, just moving the ball on. Huge difference. I'll get to, I think, the two most controversial. Oh, actually, quick mention for Zach Sturge, who I think on the whole was my man of the match. Thought he was superb tonight. A quick couple of mentions for I think two players who are, if the squad come out with a lot of credit from our fans tonight, I think there might be a couple of players who played today who are going to get some stick online. One, I don't think either of them are deserved, but one I think is more understandable than the other. I think Negley is going to get it in the neck today for showing up. His quality was a bit variable today. He should score that chance. He does kind of skew that through ball to Ivanovic at the end of the first half. But he was at the heart of everything we were doing. That was good. And I don't really think I can criticise a player too much for getting involved. One of my biggest criticisms of Ian Fleming is that he just often the games were passing by, but I couldn't say that about Negley today. It wasn't coming off for him, but he never shirked it. With Josh Coburn, I think, he cuts a forlorn figure. Let's put it that way. There was sadly a comparisons, I think, when we had him on loan, but I think the only thing that is kind of similar to Sadlier at the moment is his kind of Bambi on ice like gait. Struggling to kind of justify that 5 million outlay at the moment. The kind of bloke, it's a bit like if he fell into a barrel of tits, he'd come up sucking his thumb. That miss, I'm sorry, is just not good enough at any level. He doesn't even get close to making a connection on it. It's what I would have done if I'd been in that position. Just like no idea which foot to lead with. The ball bounces off me. It was buffoonish. Like I think he needs a break. I would give Langstaff a run out at some point if we're going to go 4-4-2, and if not, I think I'll stick with Ivanovic for a couple of games just to take him out of the firing line. I think there might be a good player in there, but at the moment it's not good. So overall, really, really impressed with our performance, and hoping that we can bring some energy, the same energy, into the Watford game in a week. All right, cheers, Nick. Bye.
All I've got now is a mental image of a barrel of tits, which is something I've never seen. I'm trying to pick. Well, I don't want to picture it. I do want to pick. I don't know. I'm going around in circles with that, listeners. Fine, picturesque assessment there by Lawrence, and before him, Glyn and Jim. Big thank you to all the chaps. Next home game is Watford, which is next Monday night. I can't make that one. I've got a familial things to do, listeners. I say I can't make it. It'd be a very hard push to make. I'm going to watch it on telly that night. But I will really appreciate all of your voice notes on the Tuesday. I'm going to be speaking with Merv on Tuesday next week, and voice notes will be a major help. So any voice notes post Watford will be fantastic. Like we've said a few times, there was a lot of good stuff last night. Finishing that Lawrence has just touched on is an issue. I don't know. Josh Coburn, he does some things quite well. The finishing part, which is what he's paid for, not so well at the moment. It hasn't clicked for him. It hasn't clicked for Mihailo Ivanovic. Confidence is going to be a major factor in the both of those boys' seasons, and they're both 5 million. He's carrying that weight, Coburn. He's £5 million price tag. It's a weight on his shoulders. So fingers crossed it's going to work out for him. We need it to work out for us as well. There we are. So big thank you. Now I'm going to play us up to the next advertising break with Barnsley. Then the remainder of the show will be the rest of the voice notes received, which will be Adam Wicks, Barry Moon, Bobby T, Chicago Joe, Rob Abbott and Craig Jones. So I'm going to say Arrivederci Millwall at this point, dear listeners. I will be back next Tuesday, I'm going to guess. Like I said, can't make the game on Monday night. Thank you, Sky Television. But I will be back speaking with Merv and with the voice notes next week. So huge thanks to everyone for contributing and potential future contributions. Until the next edition of Achtung Millwall from me, Nick Hart at least, it's Arrivederci Millwall. Bye for now, but do stay tuned.
Morning, Nick. It's Barnsley here, just on the way to work. We didn't really wake up too disappointed after that. Obviously, we don't want to lose to them, Herberts. But no, I was really proud. I thought they were, the formation definitely suited us better. I thought, looking at the team, Kelly in the middle, he had, he come on and had a good few minutes at Charlton. So I was hoping he was going to kick on, and unfortunately the centre midfield hoodoo struck again, and now he's out. But Ballard comes on, does a great job, and we're looking at Derek, who what a debut, absolutely fantastic, up and down, taking players on, hitting players, loving it, and if we can keep him, I'll be very happy. But what a start to his Millwall. Perfect in everything, and that's what we want, a progression. And I thought he was brilliant for his first outing. Big shout out to RBW. I thought he was outstanding. Was on his feet at the end, and to run that midfield and playing against Hughes as Wiley Old Fox was very good, and obviously taking him out was fantastic. But I thought back three. I thought Grant didn't look out of place. I thought he was excellent again. And the new fella Taylor was very, very good, strong, very Cooper-esque, but got something about him, hasn't he? Strong, and we like that. Crammer, he's up against one of the best, as we say, in the Premier League apparently to everyone else, BBC, Sky Sports. But I thought he was brilliant against the Mateta. I thought he was very, very strong and didn't give him a kick really until the last few moments. But Sturge was very slow at the start, but then got into the game and had a very, very good game, which was lovely to see. And then, I think the first half we were in it, and then obviously Negley had that chance, he missed it, just a bit too quick. But, he was in that position, which was great, and that's what we need him to do. Unfortunately, he couldn't finish, and the game ended first half 0-0. Thought it was quite even. Obviously, reports was, looking at the stats, it looks like they're all overs, but that was definitely not the case. Come out second half, again, just going back to Ivanovic, I thought he had a really good first half. I know Blast went over the bar, but you could tell that he was looking more like himself, which was good to see. And he was excellent. I don't know if it was tactical that he come off at half time, given 45 minutes. Hopefully that's the case, because we're going to need him. But Coburn come on. Obviously, he put himself about. He was a lot better for me. And then, and then there was a bit just before, he obviously had missed that chance, but he's getting in that position. So, he just needs the ball to fall off his toe or something. Just go in and then get him up and running. It's a bit like, Ivanovic as well. Just need that goal and the confidence will flow. But, I thought before their goal was definitely a free kick on Derek as he ran through the box, but the referee didn't give it, and then they got up and scored a scrappy goal. You can't really defend that. You can defend better, yes, but the ball was bouncing around and it just fell at that idiot and scored. And then obviously we got at the other end, had a few chances, but I just thought, really, really proud of the boys. And then we scored a goal from Haaland. What a cross. What a great dead ball set piece that was. And obviously Len Dobb got on the end of it and scored an absolute cracking header, which was great to see. Obviously they missed that chance right at the very end, which was great. Had a bit of a flashback. You could see Roberts coming, if you know what I mean. But yeah, and then obviously it comes to the penalties. Obviously, Kramer's like, I'm the captain, I need to step up and show, leadership. But unfortunately, I wish he wouldn't have because it was a very poor penalty. But, unlucky for the keeper. Our keeper their penalties were excellent, unfortunately. And obviously then Marku steps up and misses his. But there's a lot of positives out of that game tonight and last night. And I really felt that, that's the formation we should go on Monday. And if we can get some players back, it'll be much help. But, if we're putting the same team out there, I wouldn't be too unhappy because I think they all deserve another chance because I thought they were brilliant tonight. And, if you listen to Neil's interview, he's having a little bit of a dig at the fans, I think, for, going a bit mad of us getting a bit angry after the performance at Charlton. It was crap first half, but they showed it in the second half. We were a lot better. And then, if we can continue how we've performed tonight, obviously the legs are going to be tired because they ran their absolute arses off. But everyone played well tonight. There was one player on that pitch I thought didn't perform. We just need that goal. Coburn needs that goal, and so does Ivanovic. But we go again. We lost, unfortunately. But I'm proud of them today. Really proud of them. And hopefully we can start kicking on from this. All right, mate. Take care. Have a good day.
Achtung, Millwall.
Morning, Nick. Just Adam Wicks here, just leaving a couple of thoughts after last night's excellent performance at Crystal Palace, where we unfortunately lost on penalties. Sometimes we're at our best, aren't we, when our back's to the walls and we're down to the bare bones, a bit like the back end of last season. And I just want to say, I think, that every player that was on the pitch or came onto the pitch did themselves, an absolute credit last night. And I think we should be very proud of all of them. I think that's, couple of standouts for me. The Derek, the French boy making his debut. I mean, that is some debut against a Premier League midfield. Unbelievable performance. Taylor looked incredibly assured, and I mean Kramer. I mean, penalties. Really, I'm not bothered about that. But just performance-wise, he was an absolute monster yesterday. Pretty much had Mateta in his pocket for the majority of the game, and just what an unbelievable footballer. I mean, the ball he put through to Amaku the last couple of minutes was unbelievable. He's just marshalled that back line so well. I thought Grant did well. Harding never lets us down, does he? He really is a great pro. Sturge looked fantastic. After a wobbly sort of 10 minutes, he really come into his own. I think the players should be really proud of themselves. We should be very proud of them, and bodes well for the long-term future at the club. We obviously need some players back from injuries, and we seem to be picking them up like anything at the minute. But you can't fault the commitment and that performance, and that's all we ever ask, isn't it? Really. I thought they were amazing. So well done to all of them, and I very much look forward to seeing how we do against Watford. Hopefully, this is a bit of a turning point for us in terms of performance levels. I thought we were fantastic. So yeah, well done. All right, that's all from me. Come on, your lines.
Hello, Nick. Hope you don't mind me calling you. Barry Mooney. I haven't spoken to you in a little while. Can I just say, I was very impressed with that performance tonight. The only thing that did annoy me a little bit, sometimes we get the ball away, but overall I thought we were brilliant. And if we put our chances away, which we should have done, we win the game. But again, it's the old story. We still miss our chances, and they're not our chances. I've got to say, overall, it was a wonderful performance, and I think we've got a few decent players out there that we can call on now. Yeah, very impressed. Anyway, hope you're okay. Lovely to speak to you. Anyway, look after yourself. Cheers, mate.
Good afternoon, Nick Hart, Bobby T here, achtungmillwall. I just wanted to give you my analysis and going forward now. What a proud night, and once again, thanks for your ticket. Just want to do a few things now for Monday night's, I'd say, home clash against Watford, the Hornets. And for me, I mean, we haven't won our home game yet. We need to get our home form. But going by the team now, oh, sorry, my phone keeps going off. Sorry about that. Joe Bryan at left back, I mean, I'm not saying should never get in the team again, but you can just achieve with Zach Sturridge. So with the team going forward now, change the formation. As I asked you when I saw you on Charlton away, 2 up, 2 ain't working. Look at last night's performance, right? Yeah, and Del Boy, man of the match for me. So anyway, back to the left back situation. Our back four: Seb Taylor, Zach Sturridge, even Wes Harden, Uncle Jamaican Wes. You know, play him solid there right back, or I mean, from now, Cooper now. Sorry, Cooper, but we can't carry anyone now. It's a young back four and a strong, so comfortable last night, Nick Hart, right? So, as I said to you, the back four now, Seb Taylor, Crammer again, had JP in his pocket. I can't swear on here. Need to calm down after the last night's amazing, thrilling game. So, yeah, back to Zach. We said about Zach. Centre-backs pairing. Yeah, now Dan Kelly injury prone, but Del Boy now with Casper. Could you imagine that? And Cundle apparently wasn't available. And Massimo Alonglo, the Aussie fat Italian boy. Now, we can't play 2 up front, so Coburn or Mihailo for Monday. What else is there? Oh, hold on. What's the guy's name? Ballo. If he gets going, I prefer a Marco now. And I start games now. Put him in there with Bangor Williams in the 10. Nedgley doesn't cut it for me. Sorry, he missed the easy chance. Jack Howland, what a prospect. The way he was turning, you know, he was driving us in that last 10 minutes. Great delivery, one for the future. And I say no more, really. I said to you, the team there as it is. Don't forget Kamal Grant. So, look, going forward, my analysis, proud of the boys last night. I never wanted to go to the next round, money, Carabou Cup and all that Palace, you know. They're a Premiership side. They should be embarrassed. We took them to 1-1. The league's more important, and hopefully Monday now we can carry this team. There shouldn't be any change to this team, Alex Neil, on Monday, personally. Same formation. You know, Del Boy's got to play. I mean, he's good. He's the new Pogba. He's the new Pogba. So, yeah, people slating Tristan for the missed penalty. Penalties, Nick Hart, and the Achtung Millwall is a lottery. I'm proud. My voice is getting back ready for Monday. So thank you, Nick Hart, for the ticket, Achtung Millwall, and all you do for the charity and all that. Bye for now, Bobby T. That's my analysis. No one likes us, and we don't care. South London spastics. Millwall, South London is blue. Bye for now, Bobby T.
Joe from Chicago. You gotta love when, if we got our asses kicked, I somehow would have felt better considering how injured our squad is. Krama, I mean, the dude's a proper player. Someone just needs to tell him to put his laces through the ball on PKs. Alan Dunn suggested on the radio that the team didn't practice PKs, which if they didn't is such an arrogant move from Alex Neil. It takes 10 minutes. Just do it in training. It's insane. 2 more injuries. Ugh. Man, Josh Coburn, I don't know what he tried to do there on that. He looked like a fish out of water, just flopping around, waiting to be thrown in at the mercy of some dude who doesn't have a fishing license. Just horrible. And in Camille Nedgley, he had the chance to score. Like we could have won that game in outright 2-0. And the Richards goal wouldn't have happened at the end. And great, now I have to hear about that because everybody in the States loves Chris Richards. I even like the guy. He's very friendly, actually. But we had so many chances. We had so many chances. and now Dan Kelly's injured, and I really liked watching him. Also, Race Bangura-Williams needs to start every game. I don't care. Start the man, start the man, start the man, and Ballas proper. Oh, Mazusako. So many good things, and just the stupidity at the end. Come on, you Lions. Those PKs were insane. On to Watford. I hate that team.
On Nick, Rob Abbott here. The morning after the Crystal Palace game. That was a superb performance throughout. The draw was the minimum we deserved from that. If you look back at the chances, we've had a few golden chances that have not converted. Neglia in the first half and Coburn in the second half. So, yeah, the draw was the minimum. As for the penalties, they were dog shite. My one mention of the penalties is why have we got 3 defensive-minded players putting their hands up to take them? I would have liked to have seen Coburn or Ballo or even young Jack Howland step up to take them because even in the penalty shootout, as a forward-thinking player, if you put the ball in the goal, that brings you confidence for your next game. And Coburn and Ivanovic, both I thought were very impressive in play, but they both need a goal just to get them up and running for the season. But a few mentions. Number 1 to Alex Neil. Absolutely brilliant how he set us up there. Completely changed the shape, but it suited us. So going forward into Watford in 6 days' time, number 1, what bodies do we have available? But what does Alex Neil do? Does he play the 4-4-2 at home? Does he play a 4-2-3-1? Or does he stick with this back 5 or back 3, as some people call it? And if so, which personnel does he use where? If you think of a back 3, Kramer, Cooper, Taylor, that sounds really impressive. And on the left side, we wouldn't have any issues whether it's Joe Bryan or Sturge in that wing back, as Sturge was outstanding last night. But the question would be, who would play on the right side as a right wing back if we did play that formation? But it's the big question, if we play a back 4, who would be our right back? I think if we did play a back 4 versus Watford, Kramer would be there. And Taylor and Cooper would line up at centre back. Taylor was outstanding last night. Good, strong defensive player, but obviously can pass the ball and can carry the ball forward to break the lines. So, yeah, I'll be surprised if he doesn't start versus Watford. He looks very good. Other mentions, midfield, Derek. He looks so fine, doesn't he? For the first 10 minutes, he looked a little bit iffy. He turned the ball over a few times, but then he grew into the game and was absolutely outstanding. Looks like a Patrick Vieira. So if he carries on that form, we've got some fine there. And depending on what bodies are available versus Watford, he could be starting that game. But yeah, I was really impressed with him. Also really impressed last night with Bangura-Williams. Obviously started in the front 3, but then had to drop back due to Dan Kelly's injury. Feel for Dan Kelly. He was getting up and running this year, getting more minutes and looking quite composed, but what injury has he got now? Is this man made of glass? But Bangura-Williams, he played very well in centre mid. He was operating like a quarterback in that first half when we were having a lot of the ball in possession. So really impressive. Ballo, I was impressed with. Really good work ethic, good tricks. And yeah, created that chance for Coburn, which, yeah, let's not mention it. Coburn needs to put that in the net, but hopefully Coburn is up and running soon and converts, because overall him and Ivanovic I thought played very, very well. And then, yeah, a few subs. Maku looked bright when he come on, playing in the right wing back. Could he feature there if we played that shape? We were chasing the game when he come on, and he was very attack-minded, suited him. And young Jack Howland played well as well. But overall, an impressive night, a really good performance, considering we made 8 changes compared to the Charlton team, and we changed our shape versus a quality Premiership team who only made 4 changes. So not too fussed that we're not in the cup. Would have been nice to have a cup run, but penalties is a lottery. Let's get back to the bread and butter against Watford. And yeah, I'm intrigued what Alex Neil's going to do. It's going to be loads of ups, loads of downs this year. But let's get our first win next Monday. And I'm hoping either Ivanovic or Coburn get on the score sheet. And I'm hoping we've got a few more bodies back. And we get our season on the move. Long way to go. Gutted I wasn't there last night. Fans made an absolute racket watching on TV. Credit to them all. So enjoy the weekend off, and we return again on Monday night.
Good evening, Nick. A very croaky Craig from Clostell Dawlish. Not because I was at the game, I wasn't, I watched it on telly, but it's more the dreary weather and the rain that has now created a lovely cold for me to contend with. However, this does not mean that the rain will wipe away or wash away my enthusiasm for this Millwall team. Now, to start off with things, how is our luck really with injuries? And I feel for Max Crocombe as well. You know, you think Mrs. Slocum's dead all of a sudden, and you know who will attend to her pussy now? But yeah, Dane Kelly as well. 20 minutes in, you can see he looked quite somber while he trudged off. But to be fair, this meant that we brought in the reinforcements of Tierno Ballo. Also a great first start for Mazu Sakho. I'm just going to call him Del Boy. It's easier. That name is going to stick with him. Little French Derek, but he was absolutely immense. Despite the fact we lost in penalties, and penalties are just they're a lottery end of the day. And really, all we wanted was to put in a performance, which, as I say, we got that after the Charlton game and certainly after the Wrexham game. I think both of those games have been very turgid and very hard games to watch at times. And I'm just pleased to see that we seem to have had a fire lit under our arses and actually done something about it. Ivanovic looked like he had a bit more energy. He seemed to be wanting to put the work in a bit more. And I think part of that is because he was isolated up front a lot of the time. But what was encouraging to see was the change of formation, or at least a change of system in the team, and the way that we pressed high against Crystal Palace. I don't think they were expecting that at all. But no, a lot of credit goes to certainly young Del Boy, to RBW. I'll even say, you know, our backline looked good. Taylor was fantastic. The tackles he put in, especially from NSA, we'll get to him in a minute. Yeah, we're going to raise a little pity party for him, bless him. But yeah, he does like a tackle, and he looks like a proper Millwall player, I think. And I know there's only a few games in that he's played for us, but I really like the look of him. Definitely in the Cooper mould, but certainly more mobile. And I don't know about you, but he looks very comfortable. And I think Crammer as well as captain was definitely the kind of player who took the initiative and was, you know, all intents and purposes, probably very vocal. And I think he was probably a translator for Del Boy too, bless him. But yeah, with Dan Kelly going off, Ballo coming on, and he is quite the maverick. He has some very, very quick feet, and Palace didn't really know what to do with him at times. He was fantastic. He does fill the hole that Aziz has left open out on the wing. And so it does give him Maku a bit of a break, because I think Maku works his socks off, but I think there's a lot of pressure on him to try and create whenever he is playing for us, and I think that is going to take the pressure off him. Another player who was playing on the wing was Camille Negley. My God, he frustrated the absolute shit out of me. He certainly should have scored today. And it looked like, with me, he kind of looked like he panicked a little bit. I think there is still the element of confidence that isn't high with many of our forward players. And because the confidence isn't high, whenever we have the chance to create and we have chances, it doesn't seem to go the way that we want it to. Definitely the same with Ivanovic, where he just, his technique wasn't right. He just lashed at the ball for about 15 yards and it went flying over the bar. So it's just, when we have chances and they're so few and far between, you've just got to accept that probably for the next few weeks when we're playing home away, it's going to be frustrating. We're probably going to be grinding out 1-0s here, there and everywhere for a bit, just so that if one of our forwards scores a goal, that one goal may well lead to another goal next week and then another goal after. So it's just, I think this is the beginning of the confidence building, I think. And also what will help their confidence is actually finding a pair of football boots where they can actually use and actually shoot a goal. Because if anyone can find a decent pair of shooting boots for Josh Coburn, or at least teach him how to not play with 2 left feet, that chance he had from only a few yards out, he just didn't seem to know how to use, what the difference between his left and right foot was. And he seemed to almost tangle himself up in knots. And definitely, the Negley chance, Coburn's chance, we could have easily been 2-0 up against the Premier League side, which I was really hoping we could get some small morsel of revenge for him from the FA Cup game. One observation as well was our goalkeeper's kit. Don't you think it looks a little bit similar if with more of a shade of green instead of white and blue, speckled on a all black goalie kit? Do you reckon that was probably a psychological effect of trying to bring back horrible memories for Mateta? I could just see him going one-on-one with Key when Bender was running out, and I thought he's going to take him out again, and Mateta just kind of sidestepped him and knocked the ball to his left, and I just thought if he runs into him, Mateta is just going to probably get all kinds of PTSD coming up. I'd seen Liam Roberts flash before his eyes all over again. But I digress. But anyway, the performance overall was, I think, excellent. If you say it was a league game, we drew 1-1 with them, equalised in the 91st minute, with the most unlikeliest of goal scorers. Ryan Leonard is Ryan Leonard our top goal scorer at the moment, and he barely has scored a goal for us at all. It's ridiculous. But I want to say another shout out to Jack Howland, who provided the cross for that, the corner for that goal. And my goodness, he looks comfortable at that level. He just, once he had the bit between his teeth, I think he ended up almost like going on not a wavy run, but he just seemed to glide past some of the Palace players. We'll say with one caveat, the Palace players were knackered, but he has talent, that boy. Jack Howard has a lot of talent in his pocket, and I think he is more than capable of getting a few more championship minutes. I would like to see him against Watford as well. He was a fantastic turn for tonight. And lastly, let's raid the pity party on the main essay. My God, Palace probably feel we have absolutely pulled their pants down. But the poor kid, and he was a Millwall product. He's clearly a confidence player. His confidence has been shot, and he had an absolute stinker. And for that, Romain, thank you very much, because that definitely helped us. But it's clear to see that probably his number is close to being up at Palace, which that's a shame. But we got 10 million quid or 12 million quid in our skyrocket, so happy days. Anyway, I think this is probably the first step towards us putting in better performances at home, and definitely better performances going forward. I think the way that we played works so much better. I like the way that we play at the back. I also like the way that we had players that I don't think we were expecting much of, and they absolutely took us completely by surprise, and probably took Alex Neil by surprise a little bit. But The fact he's drilled them really well for this game, and hopefully that means that they'll become more and more the finished articles come May when we're in the playoffs. Who knows? Am I being deluded? Probably. I think it might be the cold. Anyway, take care, everyone. Safe journey for everyone for the long journey back from the shithole that is Croydon. And yeah, take care. On to Monday against Watford. Come on, Lions.
Achtung, Millwall.
Who do you want to watch?
This podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.